answer.
All right.
And
thank you for your synchronicity.
Yes. What I wanted to ask you is that when you go back in time and you alter or interact with a past,
yes,
like such as ours,
yes,
you are creating an alternate reality for yourself to some degree and can choose to go back to that alternate reality or to the one that you started from. Is that true?
Well, yes and no. Would you like me to explain?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I will. First of all, of course, recognize that when you say back in time, that's just a linear euphemism. I'm not really going back in time because time is an illusion and all realities exist at the same time. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. So since you know that all realities and everything in existence all exist now, and that the so-called past and the so-called future are just illusions, they're just convenient space-time linear names for other simultaneously coexistent parallel realities going on right now with this one, in that sense, I haven't really altered anything. We are interacting with whatever parallel reality we are interacting with, and as we interact with it, that becomes the history of that parallel reality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Therefore, we can choose to go in different directions. We can choose to create different experiences. And as we do so, we are, of course, shifting, as we have just described, into different parallel realities in order to have those different experiences. But we aren't really altering time because everything already different experiences. But we aren't really altering time because everything already exists at once. It's just that we're shifting into parallel realities where such an interaction is already part of the definition of that parallel reality. And in that context, we are changing nothing except ourselves. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Oh, all right. In what way do you wish to explore this in more detail for clarity?
From the physical aspect.
I am speaking from the physical aspect.
Okay. Well, it exists all at once.
Yes. As we said, it is similar to the analogy of your television set on Earth.
Right.
Where you know you have many different programs that you can experience all at the same time. They're all there at once, but you only get the one that you're tuned to. But when you change the channel, you get a different reality. You get a different story. So yes, all physical realities, all dimensions of experience, all parallel planes, all ideas of past, present, and future, all exist right now, simultaneously. They are just separated by different frequencies in the same way that the different television programs are separated by different frequencies.
Okay. I understand that you're partially physical,
yes,
but you're also very non-physical.
In our evolution at this time, we are quasi-physical.
Yes.
Shifting, in a sense, back and forth, vibrating in a quasi-physical, non-physical energy state. Yes.
Okay. From my perspective, I'm very serial. I'm just going from one moment to the next moment. And
yes.
It's all like the...
That's your perspective, yes.
Like the film on the projector running.
Yes.
So I was wondering, since you are able to experience this sensation,
yes.
I was wondering, do you...
Though not as tightly as you do.
Okay.
For us, it's like looking at several film strips at once and being able to go between them.
Ah. So it's a multi-experience.
It is a multi-dimensional experience, which is why we often refer not to a universe, but to a multiverse.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, it is full of awe, if you say so.
Okay, I had another quick question.
Yes.
Where do we remember? Trying to understand the differences in higher mind and physical mind in the sense that...
Where do you remember?
From the standpoint that 25,000 years ago that we had chose to forget that we were unconditionally loved,
yes,
and so forth.
Yes.
And that it seems like that since the higher mind understands our path ahead, that it would also understand that we were unconditionally loved.
Yes.
And so it knows all that. I was just
yes.
trying to okay.
Yes.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Well, thank you.
To
go further, you remember from the present. Because that's all you're doing is literally remembering yourself, pulling yourself together to be in the present, where access to all information exists all at once. So memory is not a thing in that sense that happens in the brain per se, except that you can allow the brain to configure itself electrochemically, neurologically, to be the kind of flexible receiver that will allow you to know what you need to know when you need to know it. In that context, in our civilization, we have absolutely no memory whatsoever. We remember nothing in the way that you mean it on earth. But we know what we need to know when we need to know it. Therefore, it works just as well as having what you would call a perfect memory. So the idea is to simply live in the moment, live in the now, live in the present, where all information exists, and you will tap into whatever information you need at that moment. You won't get it a second sooner than you need it, but you won't get it a second later than you need it either. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help? Yes. Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question when you talked about that we can access memories from past lives, although...
Yes, because it's all going on right now.
Right.
So all you're doing is cross-connecting to a simultaneously coexistent vibration.
So I just wanted you to comment, because I am currently accessing memories from this, I guess this place on planet Earth about 155,000 years ago called Lemuria.
Yes.
And
that is a more recent name for it in your society.
What was the old name?
Mu.
Oh, Mu. Okay. And in this reality, there were not only humans living on Earth, but there were also elves, pixies, dwarves.
Well, in a sense. Now, they still exist, but you must understand that these are different dimensional beings. It's simply that as you have changed yourself, your vibration, you have taken yourself to a parallel reality Earth, speaking of you all as a species in general, you have taken yourself to parallel reality Earths that don't contain the frequency necessary to perceive into other dimensions as easily as you used to. But in those ancient times, when you were more connected to nature, when you were more connected to your intuition, to your natural selves, you had the ability to perceive into multitude of dimensions simultaneously, and so the ability to interact with different kinds of consciousness as it would express itself in different forms in those different dimensions. All those beings and all those dimensions still express themselves that way, and many of you are beginning to recapture and reclaim and recreate the original vibrations that allow you to perceive into those different dimensional realms that are inhabited by forms of consciousness other than your own.
Okay.
Does that help?
A little bit.
Oh, all right. Where would you like to go with this idea?
So I guess this is going to sound strange. Well,
Going to sound strange to us?
Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. I was told in a psychic reading, and
yes,
that originally I was actually an elf.
All right, now, we understand what is meant. Let us clarify this idea.
Okay.
Again, we ask you to keep the perspective that all things exist simultaneously.
Right.
So, when you say, I was an elf, you are you.
Right.
You have never been anything but you.
Okay.
Because that's you, this particular personality.
Right.
All right? So, nevertheless, what is typically referred to in your language as the oversoul. Do you know that term?
Yes.
The oversoul, the large, shall we say, consciousness aggregate, from which extensions form and create different experiences of different lives and different realities. The oversoul that creates you also is simultaneously creating an experience in that other dimension as the kind of being that you refer to in your reality as an elf.
Right.
So it's not that you were an elf.
Right.
But you have, through the oversoul, cross-connecting vibrations to a simultaneous existence as another parallel self in that form.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Sort of. All right.
I mean, is that why I can sort of access those memories? Okay.
Because in that sense, when you have any given life, you design that life to cross-connect energetically to any other simultaneously coexisting reality that you need to draw upon for information, for energy to aid and assist you in each life. So every single life does that. The life of the so-called elf expression also draws upon your experiences in this particular parallel reality to aid and assist it in its experience of life. So there is always cross-communication going on between you and all other simultaneously co-created lives that come from the same oversoul of which you are a part. When you become more sensitive to that cross-communication, you begin to attract information in that way. And it was simply perceived by someone who is somewhat psychically sensitive, but it was stated to you in a typical folkloric manner. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Saying you were an elf.
Right.
That's the mythology, that's the folklore way of saying it.
Okay.
We are now describing to you the idea of the physics understanding behind how that's actually structured. Does that make sense now?
Right. So if there's cross-communication going on,
yes,
does that mean you can alter what's going on in each life?
Well, in a sense, you are helping each life to choose how to alter its own life. Because the idea is that as you walk through life, let's say, for example, you're walking down one of your streets,
right,
and you are suddenly struck with an inspiration to do something you hadn't thought of before.
Right.
By acting on that inspiration, does that not determine a new course for your life at that moment, shift you into a new parallel reality?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. The idea is that, how do you know that inspiration didn't come from an experience of another parallel self in another reality?
Okay.
So in that way, you could say the experience of that parallel life gave you information that you turned into or experienced as or translated as an inspiration that thus then allowed you to take action in a direction you hadn't thought of before. So in that context, yes, you affect each other.
Okay.
And the oversoul's perspective is that it is gathering information simultaneously from all of those versions of itself simultaneously.
Okay.
So it is also, in that sense, shall we say, affected by the experiences of all the extensions it has created to experience different dimensions of reality. And that alters its course by choices it makes. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on, all the way up to the one. But not quite to the one. Why not, you ask?
Yes.
Because the one, by definition, never changes. The one is all that is.
Right.
And all that is all that is. And cannot become something other than all that is. So the idea of all these changes only goes up to just under the one.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Does that answer your
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, but I had another
Oh, what a
question
surprise.
related. This sort of just came on Thursday.
You mean an inspiration?
An idea about Lemuria.
An idea, yes.
That it might have also, the people from Lemuria might have also come from, it's like a planet near Sirius.
You must all understand that what you are picking up on is the idea that there is extraterrestrial DNA and genetics in all of you.
Okay.
And the idea is that happened a long time ago, but that the civilization you call Lemuria was one of the earliest ones that expressed one of the full balances of human and alien DNA. They did interact also with extraterrestrial beings here and there, but they were the progeny of the natural development of evolution on your planet, altered by extraterrestrial DNA, and thus then also evolved to a high level of interactivity with nature. But you are picking up on all those frequencies because they all exist within you, and you're starting to recognize that.
So another thought, sorry, last
Yes.
question. So if you have access to these memories through these parallel lives in
Yes.
other worlds,
Yes.
and there's this thing that you can create, like
Yes.
it's a vesicle Pisces and it's like a portal.
Yes.
Can you use those not past life, but memories from another dimension? Can you then not use them to travel back into those lives because you have the memories?
You can gain more awareness or more focus from the perspective of that part of the oversoul experiencing that life. But again, remember, it's not you.
Right.
In a sense, let's put it this way. There's already somebody there that's already a part of your oversoul.
Right.
You are you, they are they. You're not going to exactly have their life. But you can gain as much information and experience and perspective Many times even very solidly, very holographically, very really, but it will only be for the purpose of allowing you to interpret that information in a way that's applicable in the life as you.
Right.
Because otherwise there would be no purpose in receiving that information. Does that make sense?
Well, so
if you fully simply took on the mantle of the full experience of that life,
right,
it would just be experienced from the point of view of that version, and you would no longer know yourself as you.
right.
So you would never know you had done it anyway.
Okay.
Make sense?
Sort of.
Sorta. All right. Why don't you go and sorta this out for yourself?
All right. Thank you.
Play with it, all right? Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good morning, I guess I should say, because you're seeing the dawn above Cairo right now.
No, I am above Sedona.
Oh, I apologize. My question is kind of personal.
Well, all right. Because it comes from a person, I suppose.
To the best of my knowledge.
All right.
I understand that the channel Daryl was shown on 2 occasions the black triangle.
Yes.
And I myself have experienced a black triangle hovering above my car and flashing me with a search beam, I guess, would be a good way to describe it.
All right.
And since then, I've had many, many experiences, including some limited telepathy and many other things. And I was just not quite clear as to the reasoning behind it.
The reason?
The direction I'm supposed to take, perhaps.
You are supposed to follow the highest excitement you can imagine acting on. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too simple? Would you like me to complicate it?
Please.
All right. Let us back up. Understand that each and every one of you have chosen this life. When you chose this life, from the idea of the spirit level, you also made certain agreements with different kinds of people, both in your life and on other planes of existence. These agreements usually play out as certain kinds of events that unfold in synchronous timing. The reason for making these agreements, because you knew that by having an earth experience you would probably forget a lot of those agreements, much of the purpose of those meetings and those agreements and those appointments is to spur you toward remembering more of who you are. The way you easily do that, and the way you apply the effect of those experiences as you have had them, is to act every moment that you can to the best of your ability on whatever comes along as an option or an opportunity that contains the highest amount of high vibratory excitement and passion that you are capable of acting on. If you do that, you will be instilling within yourself the vibration of your true core self, and it will actually help you have more insight and more memory in the moment of why those meetings took place, what they are for, and how to use them. Your world will expand, your vision will open up, you will understand the bigger picture of all the agreements that you have made. But those are like friends that come along every now and then and give you a little nudge and say, remember, it's time to get on about doing this. So the idea is that whatever that experience has turned your mind to focus on, whatever it has inspired you to explore, was the purpose of the meeting. But the fundamental purpose is to get you to act on your highest joy and so become more and more and more of the self you agreed to become in this life experience. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
It does, but?
Okay. Following my excitement has come into contrast with just my earthly needs and necessities, you know.
Nonsense. If you are actually, truly acting on your excitement, there can be no conflict. So if you are experiencing the idea of conflict between the concept of following your excitement and your so-called earthly needs, what that means is you are still working on the process of figuring out to believe that your excitement can support you. Now, if you have a belief system still that says, my excitement cannot support me fully, then I would certainly not advise you to just jump away from your present belief systems. If you have present belief systems that say you have to do A, B, and C in order to fulfill your earthly needs, then I would advise you to hold on to those beliefs and honor them and still work with them. Nevertheless, from our perspective, I can guarantee you that if you actually at any time truly allow yourself to fully act on your highest joy with the understanding that your highest joy is the driving engine and the organizing principle of your life, and that it will automatically and synchronistically bring you everything you need in whatever form it really needs to be there, then you will allow yourself to experience the fact that it can actually do that. It's only the physical mind's ego structure that thinks certain things have to happen in a certain way, or somehow you will suffer. If you allow the higher mind to guide you in this, you will find the higher mind is capable of bringing you everything you need, even though sometimes that thing may be different than the physical mind's idea of what that should be. Is that making some sense?
Yes, it does.
We will be talking a little bit more about the idea of how to form a stronger relationship between physical mind and higher mind in what you call tomorrow's transmission. All right?
All right.
Does this help you for now?
It does.
Why, thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.